Good morning, students. So, welcome for another video. Today, we will be discussing regarding research design formulation. So, let's begin with. So, last class we have already seen how the process goes on preparing the report. Okay. So, what is exactly the research design is? So, it is a framework, or we can call blueprint for conducting the marketing research project. So it details procedure necessary for obtaining the required information. Okay. And its purpose is to design a study that will test the hypothesis of interest, determine possible answers to research questions, and provide the information needed for decision making. Okay. Last class we have seen the what are the contents of a project report we actually go through and process or design them. We have already seen what is the importance of literature review and how we fix the hypothesis. Now the research design helps us to obtain the whatever hypothesis we have designed and how to get the answer for those questions. Okay, so everything we will come to know through the research design. So decisions are also made regarding what data should be obtained from the respondents. Okay, so obviously there are two types of search we do. And when it comes to the social studies, social research, we go with the survey method. Okay, and by conducting a survey of an or an experiment method. So questionnaire and sampling plan also are designed in order to select the most appropriate respondents for the study. Because whenever you are going to study any topic, the first and foremost important is you have to decide the appropriate audience to whom you are going to target, because they are the main people who give you the answers. Okay, regarding whatever survey you are going to do. Now, the single questions comes whenever we are going to do any research. Do we know what information we need to get? Because that is the most important part. If we know what need information we need to get, so there comes the research design. Okay. So if we know the from where information we are going to get, that is if yes, then let's think about how we can get the information. Okay, what are the sources we can get the information from the people to whom we are targeting, or we can say sample size. So research design, so that's what I discussed in first slide, that it is the blueprint, or we say a framework, okay, conducting the marketing research project or any research we are going for. Okay, it tells how we are going through. And what comes in this is the first comes is the exploratory research. Okay, this process research process has research design has two things. One is exploratory, then comes the descriptive research, then comes the casual research. Now what is exploratory research? Okay, that plays important role. So this is the process of investigating a problem that has not been studied or thoroughly investigated in the past. Okay, it might have studied but not in depth. Okay, there are certain scopes still we can do that. So or nothing has been done, so you are exploring something over here. So exploratory type of research is usually conducted to have better understanding of the existing problem. Okay, but usually doesn't lead to a conclusive result, because situation always changes. You are exploring very new things. Now what are the characteristics of exploratory research? So exploratory research is inexpensive, highly interactive, and open-ended in nature. We are interacting and you're doing it for the first time. So there is usually no prior relevant information available from the past researchers. So not much study has been done, research has been done on that particular topic. Now you are exploring the particular subject or problem which has been arised. It has no predefined structure. Okay. For example, if I say the exploratory research for what will happen to the cinema theaters. Okay, I'm not talking about multiplex or Cinepolis and all. I'm talking about the theaters, the old theaters which are there in the city. So there is no research has been done on that particular part. So that will become an exploratory research. Okay. So it has no predefined structure how you are going for it, because first time you're doing. So it answers questions like how and why, aiding the researcher to acquire more information about the research. Okay. So these questions comes. Now, the absence of relevant information from past research means the researcher will spend a lot of time studying materials in detail, because there is no already done research. You will not get any literature review over it. So you have to go through a detailed process because it's a new one. So therefore, spending so much time conducting exploratory research. So time inclusion is very high here because the past data is not available. Since there is no standard for carrying out exploratory research, it is usually flexible and scattered. So however you want, you can go with the exploratory approach. There must a few theories which can verify your outcome also. Okay, there few theories you can get it from the concepts which have been developed. From there you can get some answers. Researchers cannot form a conclusion based on exploratory research because it's a first time approach. And whenever it is first time, the data has to be collected very huge, thoroughly examined. Okay, the research problem must be important and valuable. That is the again exploratory research characteristic. Exploratory research mostly deals with qualitative data, not with the quantitative data, because your open-ended questions are more and highly interactive method. So that's why the quality data is mostly done. Now, what are the methods we do when we are going for exploratory research? There are two, one is primary and another is secondary. So whenever we are going through primary research method, the first comes is observations. So in this method, a researcher does not come in close contact with subject. Rather, the subject is being watched from afar. A subject observation can be done in two ways. Okay. The first is that the subject is aware that he or she is being observed, while the second way is that subject is not aware of it, how they are going to react to the particular situation. That is all about observation. What they pick, what poster has attracted for a particular behavior. You're not asking, you're just observing them. The later method is said to gather fairer data because the subject may behave differently when he or she is aware that she is being watched. Okay, that both things can be happen over there. And for example, you keep some offer that this side here, the new arrival, and second time you can go for the discount section. Okay, then you can just stand and just observe. So where people attention is drawing the most and what is the impact. And another impact is you might have seen in most of the cases, the retail store or anywhere, you will find the red and white color is used. If you look at Airtel also, Vodafone also, they go for red and white color, and Liberty also, because that is attracted very highly. Okay. And same section when it comes to just 999, pay 999 or anything. So you to grab the attention, they use some colors. So the color observation, if you're doing a research, how color plays any role when you are working with the retail store. So that can be an observational data. Next, you can go with the surveys. You can collect data with the forms, predefined subject, questions will be there. You are asking to the people, their opinion, the trend, behavior, anything you can study. Nowadays, you can go with the online also. You can create an online form and you can ask online. That is the survey method. And then third is the interview method. Although more stressful and time consuming than others, the interview technique is the best terms collecting detailed and correct data, but it's not very, what do you call, easy, because if the sample size is less, yes, you can go for this. If the sample size is very, very big, then it is very tough. Okay. So interviews can be conducted in person via phone call or video call also, that can be done. So interviews can also be recorded by the researcher in case he or she needs to go back to it and confirm specific information. Okay. If anything is recorded, obviously you can check and you can observe the behavior once again through the interview method. Next is focus groups. So it is often used by researcher when trying to collect data from a group of people with similar characteristics, especially in the field of marketing. Okay, the what is focus group and more about this you will study in your consumer behavior subject of the third semester. There you will understand the detail regarding this. But focus groups are the people who are having the similar characteristics. We are studying on that particular sample size. The research can be done using any of three method explaining above. Okay, you can go with the interview method, you can go with the survey method, or you can go with the observation method. For example, a focus group of fresh graduates may be investigated on how they spend their time. So do they spend their time on learning the certifications, or do they any soft skill development, or just waste the time? Okay, so that is all about a specific focus group. Now, how we do with the secondary research? Okay, obviously, which is already collected. It's like newspaper, magazine, articles, papers, which are already published. Okay, and first thing what you can do is you can go with the literature review. Okay, you can look at the publications, textbooks, articles, magazines. You can get the information through there as literature. Online sources, you can visit some websites, or there are some websites where the data will be provided. Okay, online research sources. From there also you can get the data. And next method is the case study method. So researcher might find relevant information on the problem under study by studying existing cases. We have dealt some cases in the classroom. Okay, the more cases we will see also, okay, in different subjects. But the case study is another method of getting an exploratory. Okay, if you look at example, a mathematician trying to formulate a model to solve a queuing problem in an airport may conduct existing research in a similar area. So that is in case which is going to be studied. That is one of the case we can say. So case study is all about the situation analysis. So we can take it as, and we can study it as in case. Now comes the second is, that is the descriptive research. Okay, we have seen exploratory research. Now the second is the descriptive research. So what is the descriptive research exactly? Okay, so it describes a population, situation, phenomenon that is being studied. Okay, to whom we are going to study. First of all, the population, the situation, and the phenomena. Okay, these three we are going to study. So it focuses on answering the question how we are going to do, what information, when we are going to collect the information, and where the questions. If I research a problem rather than then why. Okay. So these questions will get their answers if you are going for a descriptive research. So this is mainly because it is important to have a proper understanding of what a research problem is about before investigating and why it exists in the first place. Okay, so here a researcher understand each and all aspect. Okay, the first of all is what is the problem, and before investigating itself, and why the problem has came across. That is cause and effect we say. Next, what are the different types of descriptive research we do? The first is descriptive survey method. So this research uses survey to gather data about varying subjects. Okay, so this data aims to know the extent to which different conditions can be obtained among these subjects. So you are going with the survey methodology here. If you look at example, a researcher want to determine the qualification of employed professional in Maryland. It's a place. Okay, so he uses a survey as his research instrument, and each item on survey related to qualifications is subject to a yes or no answer, because the question is the qualification. Okay, the most important part. Okay, what are their qualification they are having? Okay, any form you are filling up, and they just definitely they will ask you the qualification which you are having, that mandatory law. Okay, that is act as an survey for them because it is giving description. Next, normative survey. So this is an extension of the descriptive survey, with then the addition being the normative element. Okay. In the descriptive normative survey, the result of the study should be compared with the norm. Okay. That is normative. Example, if you see an organization that wishes to test the skills of its employees, by a team may have them take a skill test that has been done. So the skill tests are the evaluation tool in this case, and the result of this test is compared with the norm of each role. So if you go to any big organization, if you are applying there, they will take your test. They will take your emotional quotient, intelligent quotient. Okay, so these tests will be taken to just understand the level of your maturity level and whether you are suitable for that position or not. So that act as a normative survey. Descriptive status. So quantitative description technique that seeks to answer questions about real life situations. If you look at example, a researcher researching the income of the employees in a company and the relationship with their performance. Okay, so both are related. So status obviously has an important role, okay, in the organization. So what is their status? So employee is there, and how much is his salary, and what is the job he is doing. So both should be relatively, okay, because the more the salary, the more the job the employee is doing the job, okay, because the performance matter a lot in any company. If performance is increasing day by day, the salary also increases. A survey will be carried out to gather enough data about the income of the employees, okay, then their performance will be evaluated and compared to their income basis. So obviously every organization does this every year. So they go for this type of survey and they will just check the performance of the employee. The according to the performance, the bonus or increments and promotions will be given. So this will help determine whether a higher income means better performance and low income means lower performance, or vice versa. So you are understanding two situations. But it sometimes, for example, if you are a fresher, your income will be low. Okay. If you are experienced, your income will be high. Okay. But not the all-time cases, because it depends on the total job, the requirement of the job. So obviously, companies will not keep employees those are not performing well. So obviously, they will remove them from the organization. So this can be checked with the descriptive status. And then is the descriptive analysis. So here, the research describes a subject by further analyzing it, which in this case involves dividing into two parts. Example, if we see HR personnel of a company that wishes to analyze the job role of each employee of the company may divide the employees into the people that work at the headquarters in the US and those who work from Oslo, Norway office. And here, one is the headquarter office, the main situated office, and another is the branch of it. And here the HR person is analyzing both the things. Okay. And this plays an important role. And because when the HR analyzes things, then it actually works. Just give me a minute. Now, how we do the next method, that is descriptive classification we do. So in this method, employed in biological sciences for the classification of plants and animals, they go for this. Okay, the more cases happens, types of rows, okay, animal types. Okay, if you take a simple, there is so much of study. They go for a classification method. Comparative method, the researcher consider two variables which are not manipulated and establish for formal procedure to conclude that one is better than another. Okay, without any manipulation. If you look at example, an examination body wants to determine the better method of conducting tests between paper-based and computer-based test. Okay, these are two type tests obviously happen, and comparative will be done. But the most of the time when it is objective type of method questions, so basically online will be suitable. And when it is the description happens, you have to answer, your analytical skills are used especially, then you can the paper based examination is the best. Okay, if you have seen, still today also universities are not going for online examinations, they're going for paper examination because they have done some comparative analysis on it. A random sample of potential participants of the test may be asked to use the two different methods. Okay, and factors like failure rates, time factors, and others will be evaluated to arrive at the best method. Correlative survey. So here you can relate with the two variables, positive, negative, or neutral. Okay, whether they are positively related, correlated, or negatively correlated. That you have already studied in your first semester of quantity techniques. Okay, calculation of correlation regression. Okay, if two variables say x and y are directly proportional, inversely proportional, or not related to each other, either they will be related positively, or they're inversely related, or there is a no relation between two. So studying this is all called the correlative survey. So next third comes is the causal research. Okay. So causal research, also known as explanatory research, is conducted in order to identify the extent and nature of cause and effect relationship. Okay. So in total quality management, there is an fishbone diagram. We call it as cause and effect relationship. What is the cause and what is the impact effect of it? So causal research can be conducted in order to assess the impact of specific changes on existing norms, various process, etc. So causal studies focus on an analysis of situation or a specific problem to explain the pattern of relation between the variables. Okay, this is very casual. So experiments are the most popular primary data collection methods in study with the causal research design. Now, what are the three methods we do? Here is the temporal sequence, concomitant variation, non-spurious association. The first temporal sequence, the cause must occur before the effect. Okay, that is the sequence. Because of the cause only, the effect will come. If you take an example, it would not be appropriate to credit the increases in sales to rebranding efforts if the increase had started before the rebranding itself. Okay, so that is the relation. The first is the cause, then there is a effect on it. Concomitant variation. The variation must be systematic between the two variables. Example, if you say, if a company doesn't change its employee training and development practices, then changes in customer satisfaction cannot be caused by employee training and development, because you are doing a training method and the customer are not yet satisfied with the sales team. Okay, continuously. If you are not changing the method of training, so obviously there will be no satisfaction level to increase in the customers. You have to change the training of the employee. Then only the level of satisfaction increases in the customers. And here we have to bring some variation level. If you change, customer satisfaction increases. If you don't change, it will not increases. Third is non-spurious association. So any variation, actually it is variation, covariation between a cause and an effect must be true and not simply due to other variable. Okay. In other words, there should be not a third factor that relates to both cause and vessel effect. So only it should have a direct impact. So there should not be any third factor which is impacting the both cause and effect. Okay. So this is regarding today classes. If you have any doubt, you can